You're very welcome to tonight's Diocese of Kerry webinar. My name is David Sheehan. I'll be hosting tonight. It's fantastic to see so many people here from all over the diocese. Just looking at the member list there, I can see we've people from Tarbert all the way down to Castletown Bear, and from Dingle as far as Drumtariff. That's excellent. But you're not here tonight to listen to me. I'd like to hand you over to our speaker, Sister Anne Carbon, who's the Congregational leader of the Missionary Sisters of St. Columban.
Good evening to all of you from Wicklow, the Garden of Ireland. First of all, I would like to thank Sylvia Thompson, Bernie McCaffrey, Gerard Godley, David Francis, and all the volunteers of the Justice and Peace and Integrity of Creation from the Diocese of Kerry for inviting me this evening's Mission Month webinar. So let me share my screen. So the theme of this year's Mission Sunday is Go and Invite Everyone to the Banquet. The theme is very much in line with our lives and faith experiences as a missionary congregation. We went out to far-off places, invited, accompanied, and shared bread with people across the nations of all walks of life. So what I hope to share with you this evening is a snippet of our Columban sisters' missionary journey across the globe, the ongoing call, and the choices that were made by us, by the congregation. Our congregation actually celebrated our centenary 3 weeks ago, on the 29th of September, and we joyfully celebrated, looked back, and gave thanks to God for a journey of 100 years of God's faithfulness to us as a congregation. And we are full of gratitude to God, who called us to be part of His work of love and service within the church. It was this passion for Christ that drove Father John Blowick and Mother Mary Patrick to found the Missionary Sisters of St. Columban in 1924. Columban Father John Blowick appealed to the women of Ireland to collaborate with them in running hospitals, clinics, and schools. Frances Maloney, later known as Mother Mary Patrick Maloney, was one of the first to respond. Father Blowick and Mother Mary Patrick had great faith, conviction, courage, and dared to move into the unknown. So in preparation for the future missionary work, Frances Maloney and other interested women commenced training in midwifery, general nursing, tropical medicine, and pharmacy in the National Maternity Hospital halls in Dublin and London. And history tells us that in the beginning of the 20th century, the church in Ireland witnessed a special awakening to various missionary callings, and these calls were responded generously by the Irish people, who supported the foundation of new missionary congregations and societies which pioneered across the globe. From a small house in Cahercone, County Clare, the congregation has reached out across the globe in 1926 to China. The congregation began their first mission in Hanyang, where the sisters established and operated hospitals and clinics, addressing the urgent need for medical care among the local population. And these facilities treated a wide range of illnesses and injuries, often under extremely challenging conditions, such as wars and floods. The sisters' devoted efforts brought relief during these times of great turmoil and hardship. Beyond healthcare, the sisters made significant contributions to education and the care of orphans in Hanyang. In Shanghai, another part of China, the sisters focused on providing quality education and children of Russian exiles living in China's largest city. Despite difficult circumstances, the sisters adapted to the Russian language and customs to effectively serve their students. And it was because of this that the sisters developed a deep relationship of trust and friendship with the people that has lasted until this day. Our missionary presence in China lasted until 1952. All the missionaries, including Columbans, were expelled by the new revolutionary communist government, and the sisters were forced to leave China. But then, in 1988 onward, the sisters returned to China as opportunities for mission in different areas arose. We opened mission in the United States of America in 1930, and the congregation engaged in fundraising, operated a kindergarten, active promotional work, and assisted in various activities within the parish. From the beginning, the mission in the U.S. has supported our various mission areas in the Far East. And since 1970 up to the present, the Columban Sisters oversees the running of St. Columban's on the Lake Retirement Home, a non-denominational, non-profit elderly care facility that continues to serve the people in Buffalo, New York. We went to the Philippines in 1939, and this was the time of Second World War II. All schools in the country were closed, and the sisters left their communities for safety and stayed with the people in the villages. As they experienced the scarcity of basic needs, this time was an opportunity for a deep encounter with the people, where, through their life of witness, they taught the gospel values not in classrooms, but in their neighbors' homes. At present, sisters minister and educate children with physical and mental challenges, support women and youth, work with the Subanons, an indigenous group in the southern part of the Philippines, and other social service ministry. As a Filipina sister, I must say that Philippines were blessed to have committed Irish missionaries and grateful to have shared life with them. Then off to Burma, the land of the Golden Pagoda, in 1947. Sisters operated a boarding school in Myitkyina, the capital of Kachin State, established clinics and educational programs. Our presence there lasted only for 19 years. The country was taken over by the military junta, and all foreign missionaries, including Columbans, were expelled. It was a heartbreaking experience for the sisters to leave the people. It was only in 2003, 38 years after, when a group of 5 Columban sisters returned to Myanmar. A hospice for HIV/AIDS patients and their families was opened, and the sisters get involved in teaching English as a foreign language, youth formation program, livelihood for women, and interfaith dialogue. At present, the sisters continue to accompany the people who have become refugees in their own country in a volatile situation. In 1948, when the sisters were expelled from China, they opened the Hong Kong mission in response to the rapid spread of tuberculosis and the need for education. The sisters transformed the hospital into a pioneering center for TB treatment over a 40-year period. 2 extraordinarily talented doctors from the congregation made outstanding contribution to fight against TB in the healthcare sector. Our late Sister Gabriel O'Mahony was from County Cork, and Sister Aquinas Monahan from County Mayo. In the latter years, sisters got involved in new fields such as work within the local parishes, pastoral care in hospitals, services to people living with HIV/AIDS, and with sex workers. Sisters also pioneered hospice care. and we closed our Hong Kong mission in 2016 because of lack of personnel. Then in 1955, we opened a mission to Korea, the land of the morning come. We responded to the invitation to the urgent need for medical help. The country was suffering from the aftermath of the Korean War, and 2.5 million people had been displaced from their homes, were living as refugees under terrible conditions. The sisters opened St. Columban's Hospital and introducing training programs for X-ray, laboratory technicians, trained local nurses, and had an internship program for medical students. A clinic was expanded into a ministry for the elderly, a hospice care outreach program, and establishment of a nursing home. The sisters also established a successful hand-weaving knitting cooperative. At present, sisters minister to people with learning disabilities, HIV/AIDS patients, abused women, youth, and migrant ministry. We responded to an appeal by Pope John XXIII to open a mission in Peru in 1962. Sisters implemented programs aimed at supporting underprivileged communities, such as women affected by trafficking, individuals with disabilities, the elderly, those suffering from illness, and address the spiritual needs of young people through retreats, spiritual direction, leadership training, and after-school programs. A sad story of one of our sisters from County Antrim, Sister Joan Sawyer, worked in a prison ministry, and she was brutally killed by the police together with 7 prisoners whom she had been visiting in Lurigancho prison in Lima, Peru. And we closed our mission in Peru in 2018. The call to respond to various needs seemed to be ongoing. So in 1965, the sisters went to England in response to the Archdiocese of Westminster to administer to Catholics the International Student Hostel at Portland Rise. It also provided a good location for the sisters to study. Another call came from Chile in 1974. Bishop Fernando Aretzia of Chile invited us to be involved in the direct work of the church evangelization and education in the faith. The Chile mission began to serve the needs of the most voiceless members of Chilean society in the context of a nation experiencing extreme economic inequality and a military dictatorship. The primary focus was pastoral work within local parishes, spiritual direction, training catechists and facilitators to assist married and engaged couples, as well as assisting young people and children in preparation for the sacraments. A ministry to support recovery from alcoholism and addiction was also well established. And we closed our mission in Chile in 2018. The needs and the call to respond to the signs of the times continue to inspire the sisters. In 1977, the sisters went to nearby Scotland to establish a community of sisters where sisters engage in pastoral work as well as promotion work. Our last mission country was opened in 1990 in Pakistan, the land of the pure. The sisters commenced their mission among the Christian community operating within the confines of the local diocese. It eventually expanded to hospital, justice and peace diocesan office, ministry to women in prison, tribal ministry, and running a center for Christian children. We all know that in 1962, Vatican II was a time of great uncertainty in religious life. Like other congregations, the Columban sisters went through a challenging era. But the sisters never stopped responding to the call and invitation as they also grappled and faced with many uncertainties. In the 1980s, there was a lot of discernment about what constituted mission and how best to respond. As you can see from the previous slides, we opened many doors and moved from institution to pastoral care, social justice issues, care for the indigenous people, interfaith and intercultural dialogue. When we moved across the Far East, we opened and welcomed new members from the Philippines, Korea, South America, and developed a program for the growing intercultural nature of the congregation. And we also closed many doors along the journey, and we did it in the light of our reality, accepting that we are finite, but that our missionary carries and challenges us to respond to current realities and the signs of the times to the best of our limited ability. The 1990s, with more sisters from the East, was a time of change in mission as the need in home areas increased and more sisters from the West returned to their country of origin. This led to a change in mindset and perspective, which entailed a journey of seeing things in a new way. Amidst our vulnerability and facing unknowns and uncertainties, today, Columban sisters continue to live out God's mission. We acknowledge that mission now goes beyond geographical boundaries. Our congregation has also been greatly enriched through our contact with indigenous cultures and the living in harmony with the natural world. At this time, we sense that we are called to deepen our reciprocal relationship with the earth and to respond deeper to the cry of the earth and to the cry of the poor. And this is in response to a change of understanding about God, mission, and a change of emphasis from Adventist perspective to a Laudato Si perspective and cosmic spirituality. Serving them as we immerse in the reality of people's lives, sharing their struggles and challenges, and responding as best we can to the needs in the difficulties that life presents. Giving hope to peoples as we share God's friendship and love wherever we are sent. Sharing in the lives of people as we accompany them in places that are unstable, in the midst of ongoing war and marked by uncertainty, and blessed by them in mutual service and dialogue. The pioneering spirit of our early sisters is still an inspiration to us in our journey and is still recounted in stories even today as we experience the presence of Christ as we faithfully lived out our motto, "Let us be Christ, not our own." And I want to quote the words of our co-founder, Father John Blowick, "Fear not, little flock, by this shall all know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." And today, we know that the context of our world and our understanding of mission have changed. We are standing in a liminal space, in between times, facing new challenges as we try to respond to the many needs and complexities of our broken world and fragile planet. And this challenge is not unique to us as a congregation. This is the challenge that faces everyone, everywhere. By baptism, we know that we are all called to be missionaries, and the work in the vineyard of God is unlimited. We do not have to go out far off mission places within the confines of our homes, communities, parishes, dioceses. We can channel God's love, and we all have a unique but essential role to play. Lastly, I hope and pray that as we embrace our fragility and the many challenges before us, that we will continue to go and invite everyone to the banquet of the Lord wherever we are. Thank you, and may God bless us all.
Thanks, David. And thank you, Sister Anne. That was most interesting and a real breadth of the experience of the Columbans over the past 100 years. So lots of lovely comments coming in. Just a real appreciation for the work that you have done over the years. A real appreciation for your talk, which was both inspirational and very honest. There's a message in here from Bishop Ray Brown asking me to congratulate you and the Missionary Sisters of St. Columban, and to remember all the sisters living and deceased in this their centenary year of 2024. And we thank God for their wonderful ministry over the past 100 years. So I might go into the questions if that's okay. So I might start with just the very first one that came in, which was, what is the experience of being a missionary for you today?
After having celebrated our 100 years, well, I cannot really stop thanking God for the many blessings and really what has been grace-filled experience for me as a missionary. Because not only in the aspect that I have grown a deeper relationship with God, but I truly feel enriched by the people of different cultures, faiths, and experiences that I have encountered. I have seen a lot of injustices and sufferings of the poor and marginalized. And actually, this has invited me really to be more conscious of how I live and strive to promote life around me, knowing how interconnected we all are. So I suppose I just feel so blessed, all these years of being a missionary in different mission places, starting from Peru and then in Pakistan, two very different mission areas. And I would say a big contrast of a very open culture to a very closed culture. But both places allowed me to grow deeper in my faith and in my relationship with God.
Thank you. You showed through your slide presentation there what a number of countries the Columbians have worked in, and you showed just there in your own experience, like two countries very far apart between Peru and Pakistan. What has that meant in terms of the courage to up sticks and move on?
Well, I suppose it's our charism, it's our missionary charism. We go, we respond to a call. We were invited and we respond. And I suppose it's a journey of faith for us and for me especially, because there was, during that time when the early sisters were responding to the call, there was a lot of calls, not only Columbans, I suppose most congregations have experienced the call. So that was the time that everybody went out to the mission. So, and as they went out to the mission, they inserted to the local area, learned the language, accompanied the communities. And from there, it's a mutual experience of growth, I suppose, for us as missionaries and for the people that we have accompanied.
That's lovely, because somebody here has commented on the whole idea of the word mutual, the serving of community, giving hope, sharing in their lives, and then that mutual service and dialogue that not only do they experience something from what you've come to give or to bring, but you also experience something. It's an ongoing dialogue.
Yeah.
There's a great question here in terms of how many sisters there are presently, because you mentioned those who've gone home to to their Western homes, and maybe what you see as the hope for religious life into the future when fewer people in the West are joining.
Well, we are a very small congregation from the very beginning. We were never a big number. So the reality of the congregation at the moment is the sisters in the West are a little bit older. And we have the sisters from the East. So both the East and the West is what we are holding, and both are giving energy. So hope for the future. Well, I suppose the congregation, the Columban sisters, like any other congregations, are facing a challenging time in religious life because of diminishing number, But I say the most challenging time for us now is to really welcome where is that new energy now, and to see and to recognize where is the new periphery and the new horizon that calls us today. And I suppose that needs a lot of prophetic thinking, praying, because it's a very changed world. And I also hope that, I don't know, if we will continue to embrace the challenges of the day, that we will continue to receive or be blessed by courageous young women who, like the first sisters, will follow the invitation of Christ to be witnesses of God's love and hope to the most marginalized and poor people. Now, it's very difficult to say, where are the poor ones? Now, you don't have to go out now, because just looking out around us, it's a very changed world. No, we see a lot of poverty in whatever country, and there's a lot of needs as well.
So you invite us to courage, because you didn't focus on what numbers we have. You focus on where's the Lord calling us, and where is the periphery, and how do we go there, and trusting that when we go there, Christ will somehow bring people together, and there will be people. I'm conscious that two in our own diocese have worked with you, Sylvia Thompson and Angela Kane.
Yes.
What is the importance of lay missionaries in your congregation or working alongside you?
Well, personally, I know Angela Kane. Hi, Angela. She's watching now in Cahersevin, and she worked with me in Peru when I opened a mental health clinic. And Angela went on board as Viatoris Christi volunteer, and she developed the program for the special needs of children. And it was the first time actually for the congregation in Peru to accept a volunteer, and it was a success. And I suppose it happened because I saw that we need to collaborate. We need each other, because mission is a bigger thing, is a big entity. It's not just for Columbans, but it's for everybody. And there was a need that she can offer. And I suppose if there's a need and the gift, and that's where mission is all about. No, if the need and the gift meets, that's where mission is all about. So it was a positive experience for me to be working with Angela, and I suppose Sylvia is there as well. And I was grateful, and from there, friendship had blossomed.
Thank you, Sister Anne. And maybe just as a final question, so you've mentioned a few times that there's been a change of mindset within the congregation. You've mentioned that we don't need to go out in the sense of go to a different country necessarily. What would be your final message to us, maybe who are living here in the Diocese of Kerry and maybe at the moment don't see ourselves moving to another country to work or to minister there? What would be your invitation to us as we conclude our questions?
Well, I suppose I have said before that wherever we are, there is mission, right? Wherever we are. We don't have to go to far off places. We don't have to go out within the confines of our homes. Like, for example, yourselves there, volunteering in the parishes, in the communities. We are a vehicle to channel. We are invited to be vehicle to channel God's love wherever we are. And it's a call, it's an innate call for each one of us. I suppose to give hope as well is our constant call. And it's a daunting task for all of us, wherever we are. So it's not just for missionaries, it's for all of us, especially if we look out beyond what's happening in our world. There's lots of brokenness, hurts, and wars going on. So it's our challenge to where can we offer hope and love in our little confines, wherever we are. So I don't know.
Thank you, Sister Anne. That's a powerful message to end on. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sister Anne. And thank you to everybody who submitted questions. There's a lot of questions in the chat. I'm sorry we couldn't get to all of them, but I'd like to hand over now to Father Ger Godley, who's just going to speak a little bit about the mission.
Thanks very much, David. I'm just going to say a few words about just Mission Month and Mission Sunday. As you're all aware, October is traditionally known as Mission Month. And during the month of October, we acknowledge and celebrate the work of missionaries throughout the world. And Missio Ireland is the organisation which is made up of representatives from every diocese in the country. Missio is responsible for promoting Mission Month. And of course, a highlight of Mission Month is Mission Sunday, which takes place next Sunday. Now, Mission Sunday is the Holy Father's annual appeal for spiritual and financial support so that the life-giving work of overseas missions and missionaries can continue. The World Mission Sunday collections, they occur in every parish where the church is present. And all offerings and donations become part of the Holy Father's Universal Solidarity Fund. This fund is a lifeline for struggling missionaries and the communities they serve across Africa, Asia, and Latin America. And the monies collected are used to build schools, clinics, parish halls, churches, to support the training of sisters, priests, religious brothers, catechists, and to protect and care for children's well-being by offering safe shelter, healthcare, education. In 2023, the Diocese of Kerry Mission Sunday collection totaled €45,065, which was a wonderful collection, and we're really grateful for the contributions of all the people throughout the diocese. So tonight, really, I'm appealing to people again to give generously next Sunday to the Mission Sunday collection. And at the end of this webinar, there will be a slide with information about alternative ways to contribute. So with that, we'll conclude our webinar, and I'll just put up the screen